I smooth the linen tablecloth over my dining table, adjusting the corners until they hang with perfect symmetry. The flowers complete the illusion. This one-bedroom apartment with its tasteful but impersonal decor serves its purpose well. A stage set for my mother's occasional visits. Nothing more. My phone buzzes. Adrian's name appears on the screen, sending a flutter of warmth through me. I answer with a smile in my voice. Hey, I'm just finishing up here. I should arrive in about an hour. Adrian's breathing sounds uneven, rushed. Nicole, we have a problem. His voice drops to a near whisper. Oliver just called your mother. The vase slips from my fingers, crashing to the floor. Water pools around my feet, soaking into my socks as shards of crystal glitter against the hardwood. My heart hammers against my ribs, a trapped bird fighting to escape. What? My voice comes out thin, strangled. I was in the bathroom. He found your phone on the counter and somehow scrolled to Grandma Vivian. They talked for almost 10 minutes before I realized. 6 years of careful deception flash before my eyes. 6 years of maintaining separate addresses, separate lives. 6 years of making excuses about why Adrian couldn't join me for holiday dinners in Connecticut, why I never brought friends home to visit. All of it potentially unraveled by a curious 5-year-old who didn't understand why his grandmother lived in his mother's phone, but nowhere else in his life. What did he tell her? My voice steadies as shock gives way to calculation. Please tell me he didn't mention our house. I don't know. When I found him, he was telling her about his dinosaur collection and his new tutu. I took the phone, but she had already hung up. I try calling my mother immediately. Straight to voicemail. The too familiar knot forms in my stomach, the same sensation I felt when she systematically dismantled my relationship with James in college. Weekly calls questioning his ambition. Surprise visits when she knew we'd be alone. Subtle comments about family expectations until he finally walked away, convinced he would never be good enough. The day I met Adrian at the museum fundraiser stands in stark contrast. His kind eyes, his genuine interest in my work at the nonprofit. I remember deciding, right there between the silent auction tables and champagne fountain, that I would never let my mother anywhere near him, that I would build a fortress around what mattered most. 6 years of hiding, I whisper, gone in a 10-minute call. I hang up with Adrian and immediately dial Rebecca, the only person at work who knows the truth about my double life. Her voice answers on the second ring. Rebecca, I need you to go to my real house and warn Adrian. My mother might be heading there. The words tumble out as I pace the apartment, glass crunching beneath my shoes. Nicole, slow down. What happened? Oliver called my mother. She knows about him now, and possibly about Adrian. I need you to go there. Make sure they're okay. I'm heading home as soon as I clean up this mess. Rebecca's voice shifts from confusion to urgency. Nicole, your mother called the office about 20 minutes ago. She asked for your home address, said it was a family emergency. The room spins briefly. My carefully constructed life, the walls between my past and present, everything I've built to protect what matters, all of it hangs by a thread. Vivian Harrington has resources, connections, a lifetime of manipulating situations to suit her vision of what my life should be. And now she has information. Did you give it to her? My voice sounds hollow in my own ears. Of course not. I told her I'd need to check with you first. Rebecca pauses. Nicole, maybe it's time to stop running. I hang up without responding and grab my purse, leaving the broken vase where it fell. The drive to my real home, the 1,920 seconds. Craftsman with the blue door and the flower boxes Adrian built last summer takes 20 minutes that feel like 20 hours. With each mile, I rehearse explanations, defenses, ways to maintain control of a situation rapidly spinning beyond my grasp. When I pull into the driveway, Adrian is already standing in the doorway, Oliver beside him. Our son wears his favorite dinosaur shirt paired with a bright green tutu, his dark curls sticking up in all directions. Adrian's face carries the tight, concerned expression I've seen only a handful of times in our marriage. He's been asking when Grandma Vivian is coming to visit, Adrian says quietly as I approach. He's excited to show her his room. Oliver bounces on his toes. Is she here? Is she here now? I told her about my dinosaurs and my tutu and my big boy bed. I kneel down to his level, smoothing his wild hair. Not yet, buddy, but she might be coming soon. Over his head, Adrian and I exchange a look that contains years of unspoken understanding. This is our home filled with family photos we've never displayed at holiday gatherings, with the life we've built away from my mother's critical eye. I have a choice to make. Continue hiding or stand my ground here, in the place that matters. Whatever happens, Adrian says, taking my hand, we face it together. This is our home. I nod, feeling a strange sense of calm replace the panic. I've spent years running. Maybe it's time to stop. The words have barely left my lips when the distinctive purr of a luxury car engine breaks the quiet of our street. I straighten up, still holding Adrian's hand, as a sleek black Mercedes pulls smoothly into our driveway. The following day, Vivian Harrington's heels click precisely against our walkway, a metronome marking the end of my 6-year charade. Through the front window, I watch her pause to assess our home, eyes calculating the value of everything from the brass porch light to the modest flower beds Adrian planted last spring. Breathe, Adrian whispers, his hand finding mine. We'll handle this together. Oliver bounces on his toes, unaware of the storm about to break over our carefully constructed life. Is Grandma here now? Can I show her my room? I told her about my dinosaur collection. The doorbell rings, a single chime that reverberates through my chest like a warning bell. Adrian gives my fingers a final squeeze before stepping back, allowing me to face this moment alone. I open the door, meeting my mother's eyes directly for the first time in years without the shield of our staged apartment between us. Nicole. Her voice carries no warmth, just precise pronunciation and barely concealed judgment. I see I've found you at last. She steps inside without waiting for an invitation, her gaze sweeping our entryway, cataloging every detail, the family photos I never displayed during our holiday gatherings. The children's books stacked on the hall bench, Oliver's tiny rain boots lined up beside our adult ones. Grandma. Oliver launches himself forward. My heart seizes as Vivian stiffens, then awkwardly pats his head. Hello, Oliver? Is it? Her eyes flick to me, accusation clear in their blue depths. I had investigators searching the East Coast for years, never imagining you'd be here in a modest neighborhood. The word modest falls from her lips like something distasteful. I usher her toward our living room, where afternoon light streams through the windows Adrian restored last summer. You've been hiding a husband and child from me for how long exactly? Her gaze locks on the wedding photo on our mantel. 6 years of marriage? And the child appears to be about 5? His name is Oliver, I say, finding strength in speaking his name. And yes, Adrian and I have been married for 6 years. Vivian's fingertips brush the spines of our books, examining them like archaeological artifacts. And this Adrian, what exactly does he do that required such elaborate deception? Adrian steps forward, professional, despite wearing weekend clothes. I'm a software engineer for a nonprofit technology firm. I see. Her tone implies she sees everything. How I've rejected the corporate law career she planned. How I've chosen a life that prioritizes happiness over status. And you thought this was something to hide. You gave me reason to, I answer, memories flashing of James, my college boyfriend, and how she methodically destroyed our relationship with weekly calls, questioning his ambition until he finally walked away. Oliver tugs at my hand. Mommy, can I show Grandma my dinosaurs now? And my tutu? I swallow hard. In a minute, buddy. Vivian's eyebrows arch. A tutu? For ballet class, Adrian explains, his calm voice a counterweight to the tension. He loves it. I see you've taught him. Broad interests. Another judgment wrapped in neutral words. She surveys our living room again. All these years, Nicole, family photos hidden away, teaching a child to never mention his grandmother at preschool, I imagine. The accusation strikes home. We had indeed carefully coached Oliver not to mention Grandma Vivian to his teachers or friends. The scale of our deception suddenly feels overwhelming when reflected in her eyes. You've wasted your potential on this ordinary life. She continues, each word precise as a scalpel. Your father would be disappointed. A strange shift happens inside me as I see my home, my actual, beloved home through her critical eyes. The craftsman woodwork Adrian restored by hand. The colorful children's artwork framed as proudly as museum pieces. The worn sofa where we read bedtime stories every night. For years, I'd furnished that sterile apartment with perfect, expensive pieces chosen specifically to meet her approval. I'd arranged flowers and selected wine with excruciating care before her visits. All seeking validation I never received. You're wrong, I say, the words emerging stronger than I expected. Dad would have loved this place. He would have loved Adrian and Oliver. Vivian's mouth tightens into a thin line. Mom, this is my home. My real home. With my family. Something shifts inside me, a tectonic plate of fear giving way to solid ground. I'm not hiding anymore. Her eyes narrow, calculating her next move. The Harrington name means something in Connecticut, Nicole. What will the board at the foundation say when they learn my daughter has been living this double life? There it is, her true concern. Not my happiness, but her social standing. I don't care what they say, I answer, though part of me still does. This is the life I've chosen. Your father's trust fund was meant for a suitable life, not this. She gestures dismissively at our home. I'll need to speak with the family attorney about the terms. The threat hangs in the air, her willingness to use financial leverage, proving how dangerous she remains. But I also realize something crucial: Dad's inheritance wasn't just money. It was freedom from Vivian's control, a chance to build a life based on love rather than appearances. Before I can respond, Oliver bursts back into the room, clutching a ragged teddy bear missing one eye. He approaches Vivian cautiously, holding out his offering. This is Mr. Beans. He helps me when I'm scared. He extends the bear toward my mother, whose hands remain firmly at her sides. You can hold him if you want. Something flickers across Vivian's face: surprise, perhaps even a moment of genuine emotion before her mask returns. Adrian steps forward, his posture relaxed but determined. Mrs. Harrington, we've built a good life here. Nicole has done amazing work at her nonprofit. Oliver is thriving at his preschool. His voice carries quiet authority. You're welcome to be part of that life, but on our terms. Vivian's gaze travels from Adrian to me, then to Oliver, who still holds out his bear with unwavering hope. I see I have much to consider, she says finally, ignoring the teddy bear, and apparently a grandson to become acquainted with. In that moment, I understand something profound. This isn't just my battle. Adrian stands beside me, strong and unwavering. Oliver, in his innocent way, offers connection rather than fear. Even Rebecca had warned me, giving me time to prepare. I don't have to face this alone. For 6 years, I believed secrecy protected what mattered most. Now I see how it limited us, instead Adrian turning down promotions that might have exposed our marriage. Oliver unable to speak freely about his family, my own career constrained by the need to maintain the lie. You're welcome to stay for dinner, I offer. Not from obligation but from newfound strength, if you'd like to know who we really are. Vivian hesitates, calculating the social implications of acceptance versus retreat. Perhaps that would be informative, she says finally. Oliver beams, tucking Mr. Beans under his arm. I can show you my dinosaurs after dinner, Grandma. I have 17 and a half. The half one got stepped on, but Dad fixed his tail. As my son leads my mother toward our kitchen, chattering about his collection, I exchange a look with Adrian. This is just the beginning of a long battle, but for the first time, I'm not fighting from a position of secrecy and fear. I'm standing in my truth, in my home, with my family beside me. I wake before dawn, my mind racing with yesterday's confrontation. The house is quiet except for Adrian's soft breathing beside me. A plan forms as I slip out of bed. In the hallway closet, I retrieve a dusty cardboard box filled with my father's papers, documents I brought with me when I fled Connecticut 6 years ago. I've avoided looking through them, afraid of the memories they might stir, but now I need ammunition. At the kitchen table, as pale morning light filters through the windows, I sort through faded letters, old photographs, and legal documents. 3 cups of coffee later, my fingers close around a thick manila envelope marked Trust Richard Harrington. Nicole? Adrian's voice startles me. He stands in the doorway, hair rumpled from sleep. I think I found something. My hands tremble as I extract the yellowed papers from the envelope. Adrian pulls up a chair beside me, shoulder brushing mine as he leans in. Together we read through the legal jargon, each page turning quicker than the last until I find the clause I'm looking for. It's irrevocable, I whisper, heart pounding against my ribs. The trust my father set up, once funded, no one can change the terms. I look up at Adrian, a laugh bubbling in my throat. She's been bluffing about the financial control for years. Adrian squeezes my hand. She has no legal leverage over you? None. A strange sensation flows through me, the unfamiliar taste of power. The money is mine, free and clear, since my 25th birthday. Around 7 o'clock that morning, I reach for the phone before I can second-guess myself and dial a number I've known since childhood. Margaret? It's Nicole Harrington. Margaret Wheeler has been my mother's closest friend for decades, a shrewd woman with kind eyes who always slipped me extra cookies at garden parties. Nicole. What a lovely surprise. Her voice carries the warm cadence of the Connecticut shore. Your mother mentioned she found you. Huh. I bet she did, I say, pacing the kitchen floor. What exactly has she been telling people about me all these years? Margaret's hesitation speaks volumes. She talks about your prestigious career quite often, the foundation work, the awards. Another pause. She never mentions your personal life. The revelation hits me like a physical blow. My mother's social standing relies on my perceived success she can claim partial credit for among her friends. A marriage she doesn't approve of and a grandson she never acknowledged would disrupt that carefully constructed narrative. Thank you, Margaret. The beginnings of a strategy form in my mind. I may need your help. After hanging up, I turn to Adrian. Let's invite her to breakfast. Here, in our home. An hour later, with Oliver still asleep upstairs, my mother arrives punctually at 8. She's perfectly composed in a tailored pantsuit, her expression guarded as she takes the seat I offer at our kitchen table. Sunlight streams through the windows, illuminating the family photos on our walls, evidence of the life I've built without her approval. I've read Dad's trust documents, I say without preamble, sliding the papers across the table. You have no say in my inheritance. The flicker in her eyes confirms what I already know. She's been bluffing. For a moment, her perfectly manicured hand trembles slightly before she regains control. That was never my primary concern, she says, but her voice lacks its usual certainty. I didn't hide because I was ashamed, I continue, surprising myself with my steady voice. I hid because I knew you'd try to destroy what I built, just like you did with James in college. Her lips press into a thin line. I only wanted what was best. You wanted what fit your vision, I interrupt. You called his apartment every night until he changed his number. You told his mother he wasn't good enough for a Harrington. You made him believe he'd never measure up. Adrian stands quietly by the kitchen counter, witnessing my strength without interfering. The support in his presence gives me courage to continue. You have no financial control over me, I say, each word deliberate. And you have no say in how I live my life or raise my son. For perhaps the first time in my adult life, I see uncertainty in my mother's eyes. The immaculate Vivian Harrington, momentarily at a loss for words. The silence stretches between us, heavy with decades of unspoken tension. The pattering of small feet on the stairs breaks the moment. Oliver appears in dinosaur pajamas, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Good morning, everybody, he announces, with the confidence only a 5-year-old can muster. He climbs into my lap without hesitation, eyeing his grandmother with undisguised curiosity. Did you see my dinosaurs yet, Grandma Vivian? Before she can answer, Adrian moves to the coffee pot. More coffee, Vivian? He offers, his tone neutral but warm. She nods, seemingly grateful for the interruption. Yes, thank you. As Adrian pours the coffee, my phone buzzes on the counter. I check the screen. Margaret's name flashes across it. I answer on speaker. Nicole, darling? Margaret's voice fills the kitchen. I just wanted to check if Vivian made it to your home safely. We were all so excited at the club when she mentioned she'd found you and your lovely family. I catch my mother's eye across the table. The calculated timing of Margaret's call isn't lost on either of us. Yes, she's right here, I reply. Would you like to speak with her? As I hand the phone to my mother, something shifts in her carefully composed expression, the beginning of a crack in her social facade. For the first time, I'm not fighting alone against her. I have allies, resources, and most importantly, the truth. She takes the phone, instantly switching to her social voice. Margaret, yes, I'm having breakfast with Nicole and her. She glances at Oliver, who beams at her. With my grandson. When she hands the phone back, something has changed in her demeanor. The rigid control has softened, if only slightly. She watches Oliver as he chatters about his dinosaur collection, a complicated emotion playing across her face. Perhaps, she says after a moment, her voice carefully measured, I could stay a little longer to get to know Oliver. The words hang between us like a tentative olive branch. Not quite surrender, but the first step toward something different. I find myself wondering, is there any hope for a real relationship, or am I setting us up for more pain? I look at Adrian, who gives me an encouraging nod, then back to my mother. Oliver would like that, I say finally. We have pancakes on Sundays. It's a small beginning, but as Oliver launches into an elaborate explanation of why T-Rex pancakes taste better than regular ones, I allow myself to feel something I haven't felt in years when it comes to my mother. Possibility. 3 days after Sunday, pancakes with my mother, I spread documents across our kitchen table with methodical precision. The glow of the pendant light creates a warm circle around the papers, trust documents, family photos, and my father's letters organized into neat stacks. It's nearly midnight. Oliver's dinosaur nightlight casts a soft blue glow from upstairs, visible through the hallway. You're still at it, Adrian says, setting a mug of chamomile tea beside me. His voice is quiet, respectful of the late hour and the weight of what we're doing. I nod without looking up, tracing my finger along a paragraph in one of my father's letters to my mother. Dad always said Mom's greatest fear was social insignificance. Right here he wrote that her concern about appearances masked a deeper worry about being forgotten, overlooked. Adrian settles into the chair opposite me, his software engineer's mind clearly cataloging information as his eyes scan the organized chaos between us. So, we're analyzing her social vulnerabilities now? We need to understand what leverage she might still have, I say, reaching for a legal pad filled with notes. The financial threat was her opening move. She'll have others. The victory I'd felt when confronting her about the trust has faded, replaced by cool calculation. That battle was just the beginning of a longer campaign. My mother didn't maintain her social position in Connecticut for 40 years without learning how to regroup after a setback. I've been thinking about Oliver, Adrian says, pulling his laptop closer. If she's willing to use financial pressure, we need clear boundaries around him too. I massage my temples, feeling the familiar tension headache building. Agreed. Consistent messaging is key. We tell him Grandma Vivian loves him but lives far away. No promises about visits, without consulting us first. Adrian opens a new document, fingers hovering over the keyboard. I've been researching family therapists who specialize in narcissistic family dynamics, just in case. I reach across the table and squeeze his hand. 6 years ago, I chose secrecy to protect us. Now we're choosing preparation instead. The distinction matters. There's something else, I say, sliding a letter from the bottom of my stack. Margaret called today. Your mother's friend? The one who confirmed Vivian's been lying about us in Connecticut? I nod. She's agreed to keep me informed about Mom's social calendar. Board meetings, charity events, the people she influences. Do you trust her? Adrian asks, his practical mind immediately assessing the risk. More than I did before. She genuinely seemed surprised when I told her the full story. Said she'd suspected something was off when Mom never showed pictures of her supposed visits to Seattle. The kitchen clock ticks quietly as we work, mapping out the terrain of my mother's world, her charity board positions, her country club connections, the social influence she wields like a scalpel. This isn't about revenge, it's about understanding the battlefield. Adrian closes his laptop at 1 a.m. We should get some sleep. Oliver's birthday party planning starts tomorrow. The birthday party. Another decision point. Do we invite my mother? Create new memories that include her? Or maintain the separation that's defined our lives? 6 years of hiding had a simplicity that honesty doesn't. I'm thinking about inviting her to Oliver's birthday next month. I say, gathering papers into folders. Not as a test, but as a first step toward whatever our new normal becomes. Adrian nods, his expression thoughtful. If we're going to build something different, we need to start somewhere. I look around our kitchen, the children's artwork magnetized to the refrigerator, the height marks penciled on the doorframe, the life we've built far from my mother's influence. For the first time, I'm thinking beyond survival to something more complex, the possibility of integration without surrender. My phone buzzes with an email notification. At this hour, it's likely work-related, perhaps the donor report I've been waiting on, but when I glance at the screen, I see my mother's name. The subject line reads, Connecticut Arts Foundation Annual Gala, June 15. I open it to find a formal invitation, followed by a brief personal note. Time to introduce you properly to society. Adrian watches my face, reading my reaction. What is it? I set the phone down carefully, feeling a familiar tightness in my chest. She's shifted tactics. The financial pressure didn't work, so now she's using social leverage. She wants to parade us through her world, On her terms. The event is 3 weeks after Oliver's birthday party. She's still trying to write the narrative, Adrian observes. I nod, a new determination settling over me. She's trying to pull me back into her world. The revelation doesn't frighten me like it once would have. Instead, it confirms what our late-night strategy session has been building toward. This isn't about a single confrontation, but a fundamental renegotiation of boundaries. My mother remains a formidable opponent, but for the first time in my adult life, I'm not running from that fact. I close the folders and stack them neatly. Tomorrow will bring more preparation, more strategy. But tonight, I understand with perfect clarity that the path forward isn't about escaping my mother's influence, it's about transforming it. 2 weeks later, after gathering more evidence and legal support to protect my family, I checked the calendar on my phone one more time, though I've already memorized every detail. 2 weeks until Oliver's dinosaur-themed birthday party. 2 weeks to finalize every element of our strategy. The kitchen table has become our war room. Spread across its oak surface are lists of guests, party supplies, and most importantly, our comprehensive approach for handling my mother. Adrian sits across from me, his laptop open to a shared document we've titled Family Preservation Plan. The dinosaur cake is confirmed, he says, making a note, and I've arranged to take that entire week off work. No chance of last-minute emergencies pulling me away. I nod, appreciating his commitment. This isn't just about a child's birthday party. It's about redefining our relationship with Vivian Harrington on our terms. Margaret called this morning. I tell him. She's been subtly mentioning our charming Seattle life in Connecticut social circles, creating context for when Mother inevitably has to acknowledge our existence. She's been subtly mentioning our feeling out of tame. Adrian raises an eyebrow. Your mother's friend is still helping us? That's unexpected. Margaret has watched my mother's manipulations for decades. She loved my father. I tap my pen against the notepad. I think she's enjoying being part of balancing the scales. The sunlight streaming through our kitchen windows casts long shadows across our plans. We've been methodical, thorough. Every aspect of Oliver's birthday party has been designed not just as a celebration, but as the battlefield where we'll make our final stand. We're not just planning a birthday party, I say quietly. We're redefining our relationship with my mother, forever. Adrian reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. The warm pressure grounds me, reminds me why all this matters. The life we've built here, this home, with its creaky floors and sun-dappled rooms, so different from the sterile perfection of my childhood, is worth protecting. My phone buzzes. Donna Taylor, the director at Oliver's preschool. My stomach tightens as I answer. Nicole, I hope I'm not interrupting anything. She begins, her voice carrying that careful professional tone that immediately alerts me something is wrong. I wanted to check with you about your mother's calls to the school. The room tilts slightly. My mother's calls? Yes, Mrs. Harrington has called 3 times this week asking about Oliver's schedule, his teachers, even his friends' parents. Donna pauses. She mentioned she's his grandmother, but given she's not on your authorized contact list, I wanted to verify before sharing any information. My hand grips the phone so tightly my knuckles turn white. You didn't tell her anything, did you? Of course not. Our privacy policies are very strict. After thanking Donna and ending the call, I look up to find Adrian watching me, concern etched across his face. Vivian has been calling Oliver's preschool. I tell him, voice hollow, asking about his schedule, his friends, everything. Adrian's expression hardens. She's trying to find ways around us, direct access to him. The realization hits me with physical force. This isn't just about my relationship with my mother anymore. She's attempting to establish a direct line to Oliver, to potentially manipulate him as she once did me. The stakes have just risen beyond anything I anticipated. We need to expand our strategy, I say, already reaching for my notebook. This isn't just about standing our ground at the party. She's researching every aspect of our lives. Adrian nods grimly. Do we confront her now? Call her out on the preschool calls? I consider this, weighing immediate confrontation against our larger strategy. No. If we confront her now, she'll just find another angle. We stick to the plan, but we add layers of protection around Oliver. For the next hour, we revise our approach. We contact Oliver's school to update security procedures. We speak with the parents of his closest friends, explaining the sensitive family situation without revealing too much. We even arrange for Margaret to be present at the birthday party as an additional buffer. When we finish, I stand by our kitchen window, looking out at the small backyard where Oliver's party will take place. The swing set Adrian built last summer. The garden beds where Oliver helps me plant vegetables. Our real life, not the staged existence I've maintained for my mother's benefit. Everything is in place, Adrian says, coming to stand beside me. We're as prepared as we can possibly be. The setting sun bathes our yard in golden light. In that moment, a strange calm settles over me. 6 years of hiding, of maintaining 2 separate lives, all leading to this decisive moment. Oliver's birthday won't just be a celebration of his life, it will be a declaration of our family's future. My mother thinks she's been gathering intelligence, I say quietly, but she doesn't understand what she's walking into. This birthday isn't just for Oliver, it's for our future. Adrian puts his arm around me, and we stand together watching the light fade from our garden. In 2 weeks, Vivian Harrington will arrive expecting to extend her control to the next generation. Instead, she'll find boundaries 6 years in the making and a daughter finally ready to enforce them. On my son's birthday, 2 weeks later, I arrange the colorful balloons in our backyard, watching Oliver dash around in his dinosaur costume, cape flapping behind him. The other children from his preschool laugh as they chase him through the obstacle course Adrian created from hula hoops and pool noodles. A perfect 5th birthday party, simple, joyful, authentic. He looks so happy, Adrian says, sliding his arm around my waist. You did an amazing job with everything. I lean into his solid warmth, drawing strength for what might come. Vivian confirmed she's coming, said she has something special planned. The words taste bitter on my tongue. 3 months since Oliver's innocent phone call shattered my carefully constructed double life, and every interaction with my mother still feels like navigating a minefield. Adrian squeezes my shoulder. We're ready. Whatever happens, we face it together. The doorbell rings precisely at 2 o'clock. Vivian Harrington never arrives fashionably late. She considers punctuality a weapon. I take a deep breath and walk through our living room to the front door, rehearsing the boundaries we've established. No controlling comments about Oliver's appearance. No criticism of our home. No references to East Coast schools. When I open the door, the sight before me stops my heart. Vivian stands on our porch in a tailored cream suit, her silver hair perfectly styled, but she's not alone. Beside her, looking small and uncertain, are my father's parents, grandparents I haven't seen in over 15 years. Nicole, darling, Vivian says with practiced warmth. Look who I found. Your grandparents have been absolutely desperate to see you. My throat constricts. This calculated move reveals my mother's true strategic genius. She couldn't control me through money after I discovered the trust terms. She couldn't intimidate Adrian. So she's deployed the nuclear option, emotional manipulation through family I can't easily reject. Grandma Eleanor, Grandpa Joseph. I manage, my voice wavering. This island, unexpected. My grandmother, small with soft white curls, steps forward with tears in her eyes. Nicole, you look just like Richard. Her fingers, spotted with age, reach for my face. We've missed so much of your life. Behind them, Vivian smiles with precise satisfaction. Her eyes scan past me to our modest living room with its comfortable furniture and family photos. I can almost hear her cataloging each item for future critique. Please come in, I say, stepping back. The party's in the backyard. My husband Adrian is out there with our son Oliver. Your grandparents have missed so much of your life already, Vivian says, her voice pitched to Carrie, and now to discover they have a great-grandson they never knew about. Several parents from Oliver's preschool turn to watch our entrance. I see curiosity and confusion on their faces. My carefully separated worlds are now colliding in the most public way possible. My grandfather, tall despite his 80 years, looks around with genuine wonder. This reminds me of our first house, Eleanor. Remember? The craftsman in Hartford. Something in his honest pleasure at our home makes my eyes burn with unexpected tears. These are my father's parents, people who loved him, who might have loved me if given the chance. I spot Adrian across the yard, instantly alert to the tension in my posture. He excuses himself from the group of dads and makes his way toward us, stopping to scoop up Oliver, who has abandoned his dinosaur friends at the sight of newcomers. Who are they? Oliver stage whispers, his small fingers clutching Adrian's shirt. That's your great-grandmother and great-grandfather. Adrian explains gently. Your grandpa Richard was their son. Oliver's eyes widen with the magical thinking of childhood. From the pictures? The ones who live in heaven with the stars? My grandfather's weathered face crumples, and I suddenly see my father and his features. Yes, sweetheart, I say. These are Grandpa Richard's parents. They've come a long way to meet you. Adrian extends his hand. I'm Adrian Cole, Nicole's husband. It's wonderful to meet you both. My grandmother clasps his hand between both of hers. You have a beautiful family. We had no idea. Vivian interjects smoothly. I thought Oliver's birthday would be the perfect occasion for a family reunion. After all, family connections are so important for a child's sense of identity. Her words drip with reasonable concern, but I recognize the calculated strategy. By bringing my grandparents, she's created a situation where I cannot object without looking cruel. The other parents watch with interest. To them, this looks like a touching family reconciliation, not the psychological chess match at Truly Island. Mom, Oliver calls, racing toward us with a paper crown askew on his head. Can I show great-grandma and great-grandpa my dinosaur collection? Before I can answer, Margaret Wheeler's distinctive laugh carries across the yard. I turn to see my mother's oldest friend making her way toward us, elegant in a lavender pantsuit that complements her silver hair. Vivian, you didn't tell me you were bringing Eleanor and Joseph. Margaret calls. What a wonderful surprise for everyone. Vivian's perfect smile falters for just a fraction of a second. Margaret, I didn't expect you. Nicole was kind enough to invite me, Margaret says, winking at me. When she mentioned Oliver's birthday, I couldn't resist the chance to see this lovely family of hers. I feel a rush of gratitude for this unexpected ally. Margaret's presence dilutes Vivian's control of the narrative, providing a witness who knows the full history of our complicated relationship. Oliver, I say, kneeling to my son's level, why don't you show your great-grandparents your artwork on the refrigerator? The dinosaur family you drew last week would be perfect. Oliver nods solemnly and takes my grandmother's hand without hesitation. I made a whole dinosaur family. The baby one is me. I watch as my grandparents follow their great-grandson into the house, their faces soft with wonder. For a moment, I see what might have been if I'd had the courage to stand my ground years ago instead of hiding. Adrian touches my elbow gently. I'll check on the cake and activities. You've got this. The party continues around us, children laughing, parents chatting, balloons bobbing in the gentle breeze. But beneath the celebration, currents of tension swirl. I feel Vivian watching my interactions with my grandparents, assessing whether her strategy is working. When Oliver returns with my grandparents 30 minutes later, he's proudly wearing a vintage watch on his wrist that hangs comically large. Grandpa Joseph gave me his special watch, he announces. It belonged to Grandpa Richard when he was a boy. My grandfather nods, eyes misty. I've been saving it all these years. It should go to Richard's grandson. Vivian's expression tightens almost imperceptibly. This genuine connection threatens her narrative of family control. As afternoon slides toward evening, Adrian brings out the birthday cake, a homemade dinosaur creation that took us 3 attempts to perfect. The children gather, faces glowing in anticipation. Oliver sits at the head of the table, crown tilted, eyes wide with joy. The moment of truth has arrived. What happens next will determine not just this birthday party, but the future of our family relationships. My heart pounds against my ribs as I take a step forward to face my mother, Oliver's future hanging in the balance between us. Adrian catches my eye across the yard and gives an almost imperceptible nod. Everything is in place. The weeks of preparation, the careful positioning, the strategic alliances, all coming to this moment. Present time. Adrian calls, and children scamper toward the picnic table like a herd of small dinosaurs. Oliver sits at the head of the table, crown askew on his dark curls, eyes wide with anticipation. The parents gather around, phones ready to capture each delighted reaction. My grandparents ease themselves closer, their faces soft with emotion. Vivian stands and smooths her linen pants. Perhaps Oliver might open my gift first? Her voice carries across the yard, commanding attention without seeming to demand it, a skill she perfected over decades of charity galas and board meetings. Adrian looks to me, and I nod. Better to face whatever she's planned head-on. The package Vivian hands, Oliver, is small, wrapped in heavyweight cream paper with a gold ribbon. Not a child's gift. Oliver tears into it with typical 5-year-old enthusiasm, revealing a plain envelope and a small velvet box. What is it, Grandma? He shakes the box curiously. It's your future, darling. Vivian turns to address the gathering. I've established an educational trust for Oliver. It will cover his tuition at Whitfield Academy, my alma mater, and eventually Yale, just as his grandfather and mother were meant to attend. The silence that follows feels electric. I watch the other parents shift uncomfortably, sensing the undercurrents but not understanding them. Open the box, sweetheart, Vivian encourages Oliver. He does, revealing a small gold key on a blue ribbon. A key? It represents your future, Vivian explains, her smile radiating satisfaction. The finest education on the East Coast, connections that will serve you throughout life, opportunities your current situation might not provide. The moment stretches taut as piano wire. Every conversation we've had, every boundary I've tried to establish, every preparation of the past weeks all compressed into this calculated public move. She's attempting to reclaim control of our family narrative in front of witnesses, making it impossible for me to refuse without seeming ungrateful. Adrian moves to stand beside me, a solid presence. Margaret positions herself near my grandparents, ready for her role. The strategic positioning we planned falls naturally into place. I take a deep breath and step forward, feeling strangely calm. Mom, I begin, my voice steady and carrying across the yard. That's an incredibly generous offer. I place my hand on Oliver's shoulder, feeling his small body vibrating with birthday excitement, blissfully unaware of the power struggle unfolding around him. And we appreciate the thought behind it. Vivian's smile widens fractionally, victory glints in her eyes. But we must decline. The smile falters. Oliver's future is for his parents to plan. We appreciate your interest, but we've already established his college fund. I meet the eyes of other parents, seeing understanding and support reflected back. Oliver will attend schools where his creativity and individuality are valued, whether that's Yale or somewhere entirely different. Vivian's posture stiffens. Nicole, this isn't the time to... Actually, it's the perfect time. I reach beneath the gift table and withdraw a long, carefully wrapped package. I have something for you, Mom. Surprise flickers across her face, genuine emotion breaking through her composed exterior. In 20 years, I've never seen her truly surprised. For me? She actually stammers slightly. But it's Oliver's birthday. Sometimes we all need gifts. I hand her the package. Please. Open it. Vivian unwraps the package with precise movements, revealing my father's antique brass telescope. Her hands freeze on the polished metal, a tremor passing through her fingers. Richard's telescope, she whispers. Dad always said this helped him see beyond his immediate surroundings, I say, loud enough for everyone to hear. Perhaps it can help you too. Murmurs ripple through the gathering. The other parents sense the significance even without understanding it. My grandparents lean forward, recognition softening their features. There's more. I continue, taking a leather-bound journal from Margaret, who passes it forward with perfect timing. Dad's journals. I've kept them all these years, but I think it's time you had them. Vivian's hands tremble visibly now as she accepts the journal. Her carefully constructed facade begins to crack, emotions bleeding through like watercolors on wet paper. Richard wrote about his hopes for me, not the prestige of my education or the prominence of my address, but the authenticity of my happiness. I meet her eyes directly. He wanted me to build a life that mattered to me, not to Connecticut society. My grandmother rises slowly from her seat, moving to stand beside Vivian. She places a weathered hand on the telescope. Richard treasured this. He would sit for hours on the back porch, showing Nicole the constellations. My grandfather joins them, his voice wavering with age and emotion. Our son never cared for society pages or board positions. He cared about seeing things clearly. The power shift ripples through our gathering. The other parents watch with respectful silence. Adrian stands tall beside me, quiet satisfaction in his eyes. Margaret's subtle nod confirms what I already feel: the dynamic between my mother and me has permanently changed. Vivian clutches the telescope, her knuckles white against the brass. For the first time in my adult life, I see genuine emotion cross her face. Not the calculated displays I grew up witnessing, but something raw and unguarded. Nicole. Her voice holds a question she can't quite form. Before I can respond, Oliver bounces up from his chair. Can we have cake now? I want Grandma Vivian to have the first piece. The simple kindness of his offer, completely genuine and uncalculated, breaks something open in the gathering. Laughter ripples through the parents. Adrian squeezes my shoulder. Of course, I tell him. Grandma Vivian should definitely have the first piece. Adrian brings out the dinosaur-shaped cake as planned, but its appearance now feels like a celebration of something more than Oliver's birthday. The candles cast a warm glow on Vivian's face as she stands holding my father's telescope, her carefully constructed walls visibly crumbling. Margaret approaches, her voice pitched for Vivian alone, though I stand close enough to hear. Richard would be so proud of the woman she's become, Vivian. Perhaps it's time to be proud too. Vivian doesn't answer, but when Oliver tugs at her hand, she allows herself to be led to the place of honor at the table. The telescope rests in her lap as Oliver leans against her, pointing out the dinosaur's features on his cake with sticky fingers. I catch Adrian's eye across the table. 6 years of hiding, of maintaining separate lives, of fearing this confrontation, all of it transformed in a single afternoon. The boundaries I've established stand firm, but they're no longer walls. They're foundations for whatever relationship might grow from this moment. My mother looks up, meeting my gaze over Oliver's head. The telescope in her hands gleams in the afternoon sunday. For the first time since my father's death, we see each other clearly, not as we wish the other would be, but as we are. "Happy birthday, darling," she says to Oliver, but her eyes remain on me. There's a question there, possibly an offer not of control but of connection. I nod slightly, accepting whatever new beginning this moment might hold, knowing that from now on, we'll move forward in truth. I thumb the well-worn edge of my father's telescope, now positioned prominently on our living room bookshelf. 3 months have passed since Oliver's birthday party, and the brass instrument gleams in the afternoon sunlight streaming through our bay windows. No more hiding, no more carefully arranged decoys, just the authentic life we've built together. My phone buzzes on the coffee table. The screen displays "Mother calling." Once, this would have sent me into a spiral of anxiety, sent me rushing to my fake apartment to maintain the illusion. Now, I simply smile and answer, "Good afternoon, Mom." "Nicole, I've been thinking about Thanksgiving arrangements." Vivian's voice carries its usual crisp efficiency, but the cutting edge has softened. "The Wheelers suggested we all gather at their lake house, but I thought perhaps..." She pauses, her hesitation still unfamiliar. "Perhaps we might do something at your home this year." I catch Adrian's eye across the room where he's helping Oliver with a dinosaur puzzle. He raises an eyebrow, and I nod. "We'd love to host Thanksgiving," I say, the words flowing easily. "Oliver has been talking about showing you his new tree fort." "Wonderful. I'll bring Richard's maple custard." Another pause. "Your father always insisted it wasn't Thanksgiving without it." After we hang up, Adrian joins me on the couch, his arm sliding around my shoulders. "Well, that's progress." I lean against him, watching Oliver arrange plastic dinosaurs in complex family groupings. "Remember our first Thanksgiving together? We ate frozen dinners because I told you I had to work, when really I was at my mother's Connecticut estate pretending I had a business trip the next day. And now we're hosting the whole family." Adrian kisses my temple, "including the dreaded Vivian Harrington." I laugh, a sound that comes easily now in conversations about my mother, with clear boundaries and no hidden rooms. Last month, I finally sold the staged apartment. The real estate agent was confused about the generic showroom quality furnishings, but it sold quickly. That final piece of my divided life, gone. The proceeds went directly into Oliver's college fund, a satisfying symmetry. "Miss Jeffries stopped me at pickup yesterday," Adrian says, watching Oliver. "She mentioned how much Oliver talks about Grandma Vivian now. Apparently, he's been telling everyone about her telescope collection." "Telescope collection?" I smile. "She has exactly one telescope, and it was my father's." "Oliver has a gift for embellishment. Must get it from your side of the family." I playfully swat his arm, but there's truth in his teasing. The Harringtons have always excelled at crafting narratives. The difference now is that our stories celebrate reality rather than hide it. At work, I've found myself mentoring Bethany, a young development coordinator whose mother monitors her bank accounts and questions every purchase. Last week, over coffee in the break room, I shared my journey from hiding to standing firm. The hardest part wasn't confronting my mother, I told her. It was admitting to myself that I had the right to build my own life without apology. "I do my life." Bethany had stared into her cup. "But what if they cut you off?" "Then you build a support system of people who love you as you are, not as they want you to be." The wisdom felt earned, solid in my chest. Real family accepts who we are. not who they want us to be. My promotion to director of marketing came through last week. Before, I would have hidden it from Vivian, afraid she'd use my success to pull me back to Connecticut. Instead, I called to tell her directly. The director position? Well done, Nicole. Her approval still matters, I realize, but it no longer controls me. Months later, on Thanksgiving, the doorbell rings, pulling me from my thoughts. Oliver races to the window. "Grandma's here! And she's early!" he shouts, bouncing on his toes in a way that reminds me powerfully of Richard. My father would have adored this energetic grandson he never met. Adrian squeezes my hand before going to answer the door. No racing to hide family photos, no frantic texts to warn each other. Just the comfortable certainty of living truthfully. Vivian enters carrying a rectangular package wrapped in silver paper. Her eyes take in the family room, the photos of our wedding prominently displayed, Oliver's artwork covering the refrigerator, the telescope catching the light. "You're early," I say, approaching to take her coat. "I thought I might help with dinner preparations." She hands me the package. But first, this arrived from the foundation board. I unwrap it to find a framed certificate. The Richard Harrington Memorial Scholarship, established by Vivian and Nicole Harrington. The text describes annual support for young people building independent lives, especially those facing family pressure to follow predetermined paths. "Your father would have approved of this at least," Vivian says, her voice carrying that familiar mix of certainty and vulnerability, though he might have quibbled with the name. "It's perfect," I tell her, meaning it. "We'll hang it right beside his telescope." Oliver rushes over, wrapping his arms around Vivian's legs. "Grandma, want to see my dinosaur village? The T-Rex is the daddy, and the Triceratops is the mommy, and the baby Stegosaurus is adopted but they love him anyway." Vivian bends down slightly, still elegant in her cashmere sweater and pearls. "I would love to see your dinosaurs, Oliver." As they walk toward the play area, Adrian slides his arm around my waist. "Nervous about dinner?" "Not anymore." I place the scholarship certificate on the mantel. The last time she surprised me with a visit, I dropped a vase and nearly had a panic attack. Now I'm just happy Oliver has his grandmother in his life, the real one, not some sanitized version I created. Through the window, I see the Sullivan family from across the street heading up our walkway with a pie balanced in their son's careful hands. I invited 3 neighborhood families to join our Thanksgiving celebration, something unimaginable in my previous life of compartmentalized relationships. "Hiding doesn't protect what matters," I say, turning to greet our neighbors. "Standing in your truth does." Adrian kisses me quickly before opening the door. "Your dad would be proud." With the scholarship bearing Richard's name, his telescope guiding our vision, and his grandson building dinosaur families that welcome differences, I know Adrian is right. The Harrington legacy isn't about Connecticut society or carefully curated appearances. It's about having the courage to live authentically, even when that's the hardest path to walk. And as I welcome our neighbors into our true home, with my mother showing Oliver how to position dinosaurs for optimal dramatic effect, I feel the last fragments of my hidden life finally dissolve, replaced by something far more valuable, a future without secrets.